name's Dan. For anyone still on Twitter, you can find me there. Email address there for people that don't use Twitter. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about dating apps. So this was kind of a weird one. So I'd never really used dating apps, and the pandemic maybe resulted in the same with some other people where it changed their lives a bit, and also ended up working on a dating app for a little bit. So I just thought there was some interesting stuff there that you might not come across in day-to-day, and particularly if you've never used them before. There's an interesting set of features and sort of ways they make money that I just found pretty intriguing, having not come across it before. So a bit of a disclaimer is that a lot of what I'm going to say in this talk, especially as it's being filmed, is I don't have access to the source code. I'm making sort of my judgments as to having used this and being a mobile developer. This is what I think it's doing. So some of this isn't necessarily factual, it's just sort of my guess at what it is. I also I did some work for an app called Field, so I'm not going to talk about them at all, just because that might be a bit weird. So yeah, let's get started. So what is the dark pattern? So there's a bit of a list here of some examples of dark patterns, but essentially it is something where the user interface has been crafted to trick users into doing something you want them to do. Whether that's trying to get them to spend money, or get them to give away data, or whatever it is. So some of these examples, I had to write these down because I have no idea what these things are. Privacy zuckering is tricking the user into sharing more information than they intend to. Very exciting. Bait and switch is where you advertise something for free, but then sort of misplace buttons to get them to add in extra stuff. Misdirection is kind of similar. It's sort of, it happens a lot in software installers where you try and install something, you end up getting like other crap installed alongside it. And then a roach motel is where you provide an easy or straightforward way to get in, but you make it difficult to get out. Arguably, maybe App Store subscriptions might, depending on the app, fit into a roach motel. Yeah. So what's a dating app? So the general flow of all of these things is that you build a profile, you sort of fill in some pictures, likes and dislikes and stuff like that. And then you go through a load of people just sort of swiping left or right as to whether you want to try and match with them or not match with them. See if you get any matches, and then you start chatting. So the images are from one called Tinder, which I imagine everyone in the room has probably heard of. Yeah. So how do they make money? And there's a few routes, but the main thing is subscriptions. Just cut off the bottom, missing the punchline. It's very sad. Subscriptions everywhere, everywhere. So this is a screenshot of Tinder's subscription sort of levels, of which there are many. I'm trying to remember if there's a thing on this, but the thing that's missing from that is there's no price information at all on there. There's just the features that are in it. And if you go look at the in-app subscription prices on the App Store, there's several of them, and they're all the same. And that's because it depends on who you are as to what you're going to get charged for this. So it may be age-based, it might be location, it could be other stuff, because we don't know what they're doing in there to determine what sort of pricing level to set you at. But they all do it. So that's Hinge, and they've got a similar thing going on there. And then that's Bumble with a similar thing. It's, yeah, a massive money pit. So that sort of struck me as the sort of first dark pattern, if you like, to it, is that you might be paying something completely different to other people using this thing. And there's a wealth of other in-app purchases in there. Interestingly, I'm sure it used to be on the App Store, you could see all of the in-app purchases, but you can now only see about 10 of them. I don't know if I'm misremembering that, or if that's something that happened fairly recently. So the next sort of thing that struck me is super likes and super swipes. So as you're browsing through people, you can sort of super like people or super swipe people to sort of try and register a bigger interest or maybe get seen first or something like that. But they're consumable. So there'll be some included in your subscription if you've subscribed. Or if you're using it for free, you'll have to buy packs of these. Or if you run out, you'll have to buy more packs of these. But for Bumble in particular, and just before we go on to the next screen, just note where, so that's the super swipe button there. It's just, if you're right-handed, think about how you use your phone. So, if you're building an iOS app, generally, if you plonk a button in, and you get to sort of control the behavior as to when that button triggers. And this is your sort of list of features. This is from one of the apps I've been working on. I've just screenshotted this out. Generally, you'd use touch up inside. So that's, you sort of touch down, and when you release, as long as your thumb or finger is still inside the button, that action will fire and off it goes. You've got these others that are in here. Touch down, touch, drag exit, touch outside, all this sort of stuff. The Bumble Super Swipe button doesn't work on touch up inside. If you touch that while you're scrolling, it just fires. So you very quickly find you've just blazed through a pack of super likes on people you have no interest in whatsoever. So you'd sort of expect to touch up inside, and you just don't get it. You get touch up outside. And if you're right-handed and scrolling, because of where that button is, if you've got your hand like that and you're scrolling, it's just firing all the time as you accidentally hit that button. And then you need to buy another pack of them, or just not bother with them. Yeah, so I found that weird. The next one is read receipts, which I thought was a bit of a surprise. So this is a screenshot of a random Twitter chat. You've got this sort of, not a read receipt, but a sort of call to action down the bottom that is actually a, you tap it and you can buy read receipts so that you can find out when someone's read your messages or seen your messages. And you buy them per conversation. And again, you buy them in packs. So you just sort of get trapped in this thing of, I don't know, maybe you've been chatting to someone, you're quite anxious that they've not replied for a while. They're sort of preying on that anxiety that you might desperately want to know whether they have or haven't seen it. Yeah, so a bit dodgy, I thought. Another one, again, particular to Bumble, this one. That last one was Tinder, just to be clear. So if you're not subscribed, you see a list of people who've liked you that's sort of blurred out. If you are subscribed, you get to see who they are. If you were subscribed and you've set some filters, and then you get to the end of the subscription, and you sort of maybe know how many people you have in that like list, the subscription expires, suddenly you get this influx of likes, but you can't see who they are. And that's because you had these likes all along, but the filters you had were filtering them out. And when your subscription expires, the paid for filters expire, and it just adds them in there at the end of the subscription and goes, oh, there's like 50 people that like you, whereas before you might have had, like, I don't know, 2. And it's trying to sort of encourage you to go, well, who are these 50 people? And then you subscribe again, and you go, well, all of these are outside of my filters, like they're, I don't know, 100 miles away, or just, yeah, completely inappropriate. Yeah, it's also an interesting one. So, a few other people have sort of argued that Tinder in particular uses something called variable ratio reward schedule, which is, there might be people that have liked you, but particularly if you're on the free version, you can't see who's liked you. The only way to find out who's liked you is if you're going through and you like other people, and if you match, then it sort of reveals that card to see who it is. Tinder apparently disperses those people that have liked you in the pile of local people, essentially, and just randomly disperses them to keep you swiping as much as possible, to try and encourage you that that next swipe might be the next one. Essentially trying to gamify it and to try and keep you coming back to this thing and promote addictive behaviours to the app. I've whipped through those really quickly, and I thought that would actually take a lot longer, so now we're at the conclusion somehow. So dating apps want to keep you using the apps. The subscriptions give you access to the features, really, but some features are consumable and they want you to buy more of those things. Some of the patterns are a bit dodgy. They probably make an absolute fortune off these things, and some of the UI doesn't work quite how you'd expect it to. Yeah. And then my one more thing that I'm adding onto this is that the dating apps kind of work and I've got a baby coming. Any questions? Not about the baby. Andy.
How much did you spend on subscriptions to get?
So I essentially tried each of them for like a month.
Right.
So I tried Tinder, and it was the worst of the pile because it's just a lot of the profiles people just put a picture and that's it. And there's nothing, and it's just a bit of a hellscape. Bumble seemed alright, but because I think I set quite strict filters on Bumble, and I only had a few people to go through, so there didn't seem to be much on there. And then Hinge seemed to have a lot more people on. So I think I subscribed to Hinge for a couple of months, and the rest for a month each to try and get material for the talk, because it's all tested up.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
The screenshot with the receipts, was that like month to month? Was it changing? What was changing the values there?
So let me just get the one on this one.
No, sorry, near at the start.
The in-app purchases.
Yeah.
Hang on. That one?
That one, yeah.
Yeah. So these, I'm guessing these are all the cost of a 1 month subscription, but different tiers or different target audiences, I should say. So one of the theories is that basically if you're over 30, you'll get a much higher price than you will if you're under 30. But I mean, Tinder's certainly got a lot more than the others. So I mean, the others just seem to have essentially 2. So although there's Hinge subscription and Hinge membership are both 1 month, and it's unclear what the difference is. And then similar with Bumble, they've got several Bumble premiums, all at different prices. And then the boosts are, so boost is, there's sections in all of these apps where you can essentially see a selection of people at once, and boost puts you at the top of that section, or somewhere in that section, for a period of time. It's like an hour or 2 on Bumble, or something weird. But you can, again, it's another consumable, so you can buy more boosts. Yeah.
Did any of the people you dated, were they aware of this in any level? I know you're probably very aware. Do they have a clue? Is there a market for an ethical?
Yeah, not really. No, it was a bit of a surprise to everyone I spoke to about it, actually. Yeah.
Did you start the date with that?
Yeah, no, I love that. That's how I got a baby so quickly. It's gold. No, it didn't come up that often, but it didn't seem common knowledge that this was a thing, especially like pricing and things like that. And I guess talking about touch events on buttons is possibly the furthest down that rabbit hole you want to go with someone not in the tech industry. Yeah. I mean, but yeah. So I'm also doing an AI degree as well, and there was also bits in that were like quite interesting tales.
Are these costs from your account in Apple?
Which ones?
Are these?
So those I just went on my app store like today when I was writing the talk an hour ago, and captured those.
As you?
Well, this is just the app store for those ones. For the other ones, that's just stock image.
Yeah. I'm just curious as to whether those cheaper ones are for ladies. Expensive ones.
Well, yeah, they could be. They could be. This is from, there's a website that's got hilarious Tinder chats, and some of the stuff on that is amazing, but not appropriate for this.
I'm sure you're not Danielle.
I'm not Danielle. I've got the joke.
Is it possible? Because I think I experienced it, that these prices change because there are some sales.
Yes, there are definitely also
sometimes I get
sales
the
as
same
well.
subscription
Yeah.
for much cheaper.
Yeah.
Because it's for 24 hours. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I think if you were say new to Bumble and you did the 1 month subscription and then cancelled, they'll almost certainly offer you like half price or something almost immediately after the expiry of the subscription.
That's how they tricked me once.
Yeah.
I got into a subscription
Yeah.
for 1 month or something.
Yeah.
Obviously, I gave my credit card details,
Yeah.
and then I accidentally boosted myself.
Ah.
40,000.
Yeah. Stuck in the Roach Motel.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Dan.
Cool.
As I say, I